Welcome to eXtremeRate channel. This video will guide you through the installation of the Trigger Clicky Kit for the Xbox Elite Controller Series 2. Let's put on the clicky switch and the triggers to enhance faster input, crisper feedback, and an ultra-satisfying clicky feel, giving your controller the advantage in both performance and feedback. Now get all the parts and tools ready, and let's start the upgrade. First, slide both trigger stop toggles to the top and flip the controller to the front. Remove both stick caps and the faceted D-pad. Next, insert the flat end of the spudger into the seam between the front plate and the controller. Then carefully work your way along the edges, gently prying upward to release all the clips holding the front plate. Once the clips are released, grab the faceplate and lift it off the controller. Place the cap onto each left and right thumbstick and release them by twisting counterclockwise to remove both thumbstick from the controller. Remove the 6 screws securing the main assembly to the back plate. Gently lift the back plate from the motor area and slowly separate it from the controller. Be careful not to pull on the motor wires. Now the internal components are accessible. Before moving forward, we can use tape to hold both motors in place. This helps protect the motor wires from strain or accidental drops during the operation. Then flip the controller over to the front and lift the tabs, locking the port cover in the middle. Take off the plastic covers surrounding both bumper switches. Then release the bumper fasteners on both the left and right sides and remove it from the controller. Peel back the black insulation tape and gently lift to disconnect both antennas from the daughterboard. Secure the antenna cable in place using the adhesive tape to prevent it from shifting during the installation. Move the motor cables aside to expose the screws securing the daughterboard. Then remove the 2 screws on both sides. Carefully lift the board upward and straight off the alignment pins. Remove the audio jack. Flip the daughterboard to the other side and remove the left thumbstick if didn't remove before. Then place the daughterboard flat and steady and get it ready for soldering the Trigger Clicky Button FPC. Peel off the backing paper, align the cable with the component on the board, and gently stick it into place. Before soldering, refer to the guide and follow the marked solder points for proper soldering. Here we can place Kapton tape to protect the components surrounding the soldering area. Next, we need to add solder between the component and the solder pads to create electrical connection. Preheat the soldering point, then carefully add solder between the component and the solder pad on one side. Ensure the joint is clean and properly bonded. Then switch to the other side and carefully apply solder between the component and the solder pad on the FPC. Next, let's install the right trigger clicky FPC. Peel off the backing paper, then align the hole on the cable with the component on the board and stick it into place. Before soldering, refer to the guide and follow the marked solder points for proper soldering. Place the Kapton tape to protect the components surrounding the soldering area. Now carefully add solder between each component and the solder pad on the FPC to create the electrical connection. After both cables have been soldered down to the board, carefully place the daughterboard back onto the main assembly. Flip the board over and put the audio jack back to its position. Guide the board through the alignment pin, sit it down into position, and make sure it lay flat on the main assembly. Then give it a press to snap the board into place. Lock back the screws to secure the board. Remove the tape covering the antennas and reattach both antennas to the daughterboard. Cover the insulation tape back over the antennas and check the metal contacts to make sure there are no bends. Flip the controller to the front and place both bumper switch plastic cover back into the slots. Next, assemble the port cover back on the bumper cover. Then line up the clips and snap the bumper cover back to the controller. Next, let's install the trigger clicky switch onto the trigger stop assembly. The trigger stop components are site-specific. Make sure to use correct one before installation. Peel off the backing paper and stick the right clicky trigger switch onto the flat mounting surface of the right trigger stop component. Then give it a firm press to make sure it's fully attached. Next, peel off the backing paper and stick the left clicky trigger switch onto the flat mounting surface of the left trigger stop component. Because the trigger stop is used frequently to improve durability, it's recommended to solder the switch to the trigger stop component. Start by soldering the switch to the right trigger stop component by heating the plastic peg to melt it down and fuse it with the switch FPC. After finishing the right side, switch to the left and carefully heat the peg to fuse it with the trigger switch FPC. Next, unscrew and remove the rear button switchboard. Make sure those plastic bits on the button switches stay in place. Remove the screw fastening the spring, then take it out of the slot. Slide the spudger underneath, then lift and detach the left and right trigger stop lock components. Next, place the new right trigger stop component into the slot, making sure it fits snugly and is properly seated. Guide the trigger stop component through the hole, then press it down to snap it into place. Then route the ribbon cable along the plastic peg to keep it secure and out of the way. Place the spring back in position and tighten the screw to secure the right clicky trigger stop assembly in place. Next, let's install the left clicky trigger stop component. Guide the left trigger stop switch through the hole, then press it down to snap it into place. Be careful not to pinch the ribbon cable when placing the component. Then place the spring back in position and tighten the screw to secure the left clicky trigger stop assembly in place. Reinstall the rear button board onto the back shell. Align the holes and fasten the screws to secure the board in place. Then slide the trigger stop lock on the bottom shell to check if it moves smoothly through each level. Organize the motor wires to make sure the wires are tucked in properly to prevent damage when closing the shell. Before reinstalling the bottom shell, tape down both trigger switch cables to prevent it from shifting. Peel off the tape covering both motors before putting the controller back together. And be careful not to let the metal rod on the LT trigger side pull or press against the ribbon cable. Make sure the cable is routed safely and freely. Test the trigger in different travel levels to ensure smooth movement and confirm no cables are being obstructed. Slide the trigger lock to the lowest position and give the triggers a few presses to feel the travel. If you feel there is too much play when pressing the triggers in the shortest travel, try adding the included spacers to reduce the distance. Gently pull the bottom shell away to create space for the trigger. There are 2 spacer options included. Choose the one that best suits your preference. Remove the stock spacers from the support bracket at the trigger area before attaching the new ones. To begin, try installing the black spacer and check how the trigger feels. Place the spacer onto the support bracket on both the left and right sides. Then put the bottom shell back. Test the triggers in short travel to ensure no extra slack. If you still feel there's too much slack, try switching to the taller white spacer to reduce the trigger travel distance. Gently pull the bottom shell away. Remove the black spacers on both the left and right sides. Then place the white spacer onto the support bracket. Now put the bottom shell back and test the triggers again in shortest travel. If everything feels good now, let's move on and continue assembling the controller. Fasten the screws to lock the main assembly in place. Make sure to use the 9.5mm screws here. Reinstall the thumbsticks by rotating them clockwise until they are securely in place. Then put the front plate back on and snap it securely into place. Reattach the faceted pad and both stick caps. And insert the rear buttons back into their slots. The installation of the Clicky button kit has been completed. Now you can enjoy a more responsive, satisfying clicky trigger stop on your Elite controller. Thank you for watching the video. Happy customizing and enjoy your modding journey with eXtremeRate.